There's only 5 left.
Okay.
The other 3 have exited.
All right, so this is round 3, board 1, and what was the final result?
The final result was
sorry.
11 for England, board top, 8 for Italy, second. Germany was 7 in third, and Turkey, I guess
1, 2, 3,
tied
4, 5, 6.
7.
7. 1, 2, 3,
4, 5, 6, 7.
Oh, Greece, yeah.
So
okay.
it's 7, 7, 14, 20. What am I doing wrong? Were you 12?
I was, I think this is accurate.
Oh, the kid for 1. So it was
Danny
11,
Grinnell?
11, 8,
Okay.
7, 7.
All right, so let's introduce yourselves for the camera and say again which power you're
Board
playing.
topper first.
I'm Tom Scudder. I was England.
Okay.
Christian Kline. I was Italy.
All right, so England and Italy. Why don't we start off with you, sir? How did you do it? You topped the board.
I think this was an endurance contest more than anything.
You guys played until 1911, 1912?
Right off the bat.
I think that's right.
I started off with an EF.
Jim, would you mind telling us a little bit about how this game went down from your point of view? Jim O Kelley, tournament director, also playing.
Fall of 11. We went through 11.
Yeah.
Which country were you playing, Jim?
I was playing Germany. And
Okay.
It was a lot of fun playing with someone I kind of know casually on WebDip. I think we played in a gunboat tournament. But
I think we talked enough times.
Yeah,
We're a total stranger.
and then we had a young guy in France.
Danny Grinnell.
Although I don't like Western triples as any power, but especially not as Germany, that's what I wanted from the start. Was Western triple because I didn't want to attack either of these guys.
Oh, there you go.
And then the game unfolded. And I attacked
Who was playing Russia?
Adam Sigal, the great
Adam Sigal.
Adam Sigal. All
I've
right.
seen him in one of your videos.
Yeah, I think that I did do a little profile on him. How did it work out for him? I see he didn't survive.
10 minutes to the
Well, then it
deadline.
worked out pretty well.
just as you planned it. All right, so you started with a Western triple.
No,
there was never
Never Western
Nobody
triple.
wanted it except me and Matt Sundstrom.
Okay, so what did you want to do out of the gate when you pulled England and you sat down and you saw these players? What were you thinking?
Right away, I saw a young France. I saw one who I could, maybe call it delusions of grandeur. He got 3 builds fall 1901.
Okay.
I bounced Jim in Holland, so Germany was at 1 build at that point.
Okay.
At that point, I thought because France is so powerful, I get him going south. Right, he built Fleet Marseille, he built 2 armies, and then now he's focused on the Med.
Sure.
Despite a few flip-flops on my part, after I decided to team up with Jim, for the most part, we were pretty much on the same page for the rest of the game.
So you kind of put him on 6, send him south to kind of set him up so he'd get out of the way, and then work together to slowly grind him down?
We fought to get into Scandinavia. There was some back and forth with
Right.
Russia. It didn't last very long.
Okay. Did Adam get, who was playing Turkey?
It was Matt Sundstrom.
Matt Sundstrom. I see he ended up in Sev. Did he kind of join in on the Russia kill?
Well, it was really an AT against them. It was half-hearted by me, certainly, and I think you poached the northern dots from them.
Okay.
But very early on, it seemed to me anyway that a solo threat had emerged in the east with Matt starting to roll as Turkey very early. I mean,
Oh, so not really a solo threat, but like, but a good.
I saw it develop.
Surging to
Okay,
a board.
surging.
I felt like
Okay.
we needed
And
to
I was,
react.
Rein that in.
partly my fault
Okay.
because I agree.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that.
I wanted Lepanto,
Uh-huh.
which is, I don't think that's surprising. We had Paul Pignotti in Austria, and Paul wouldn't commit. It's one of the few Austrias I've seen who hemmed and hawed when Italy comes to him with the Lepanto.
I have to tell you, in the video, I might have noted that Austria is not Paul's best country.
We talked about that.
Yeah.
We talked about
And
Paul.
you showed him the video, right?
Showed him the video, and Paul said, "I wish that weren't true." And I think the number was like 1.7 was his average.
A 1.5 now.
And Paul said he thought that might be a little bit high.
Okay.
I also note that Paul probably was freaked out by you coming to him with Lepanto rather than Italy.
Paul was freaked out by everything. Paul felt surrounded by pit vipers, he called us. I mean, he does have Sandstrom. I don't know a lot of the great names, but apparently Mr. Sigal in Russia is a strong, dangerous
Yeah,
player.
he's good.
I am occasionally dangerous. Sundstrom is a pit
Situationally,
viper.
yeah.
Situationally. Sundstrom is a
More
pit
than
viper.
that.
And I opened to Tyrolia, and then I was planning to maybe fuck with Jim. but in Munich.
Shocker.
But I know. I just thought it'd be fun. And also, like, you know, you can drop into Trieste if you want. The kid made clear that he wanted to go for Belgium, and I figured, all right, I mean, fine, I won't mess with the Westerners. I couldn't.
What'd you do when Danny showed up in the Med with Fleet Force?
Oh, that was after I had stolen Trieste. I took Trieste.
Oh, okay. And from Paul.
And that's dangerous. Like pissing Paul off early often leads to furious Paul.
Yeah, exactly.
Paul
Death threats and
to deal with. And it generally requires somebody else fucking with him before he stops being furious Paul.
He's like the Dave Miletsky of the Chicago hobby without the hat or the pacifism.
But I got Sundstrom on his other side, so I know eventually Paul will get just as angry at Sundstrom. So I'm not that worried about it.
Can't wait to broadcast this.
And so, but sure enough, like before I could, you know, I went slow, tried to exploit problem. And by the way, I really pissed off Adam, who was thinking long-term strategic thoughts, which are absolutely accurate. He felt that I had committed him to diplomacy of an RAI, Lepanto, and then dropping a unit into Austria screwed him over.
Yeah.
He was all kinds of pissed off.
He was all kinds of pissed off. I don't disagree with that. The problem is Paul was never that excited about the Lepanto.
Yeah.
And so taking a dot from Austria who's not excited about the Lepanto just makes sense.
And it was 1901.
1901.
You got to be flexible, right?
You have to be
can't
flexible.
get wound around a pole.
But and so it's working wonderfully, and then everything goes into a cocked because this guy's ally drops into the Med with 2 fleets.
Sure.
And all of a sudden, I'm not going to say fucked again. I am screwed sideways.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Fleets after.
Yeah, 3 fleets. Eventually, there are 3 fleets, and I am just completely screwed.
So you took the extra build and put down an army and a fleet?
What did I put down? I put down an army and a fleet.
Okay.
Yeah, and of course Paul's like, well, that just tells me that you're trying to hang on to Trieste. And I may have said something like, well, duh. Because yes, I can build 2 fleets, but I know that Paul's not going to like stop being pissed if I say, "Oh, it's just a forced Key Lepanto. Trust me." No.
And look what France is doing. I had to have that.
I got Furious Paul no matter what.
Yeah, right. You bought it.
I got to
paid
wait
for it.
until Matt turns into other Furious Paul, and but I didn't have the time for that because the kid crawls right up my butt. It was brilliant. I assume you had something to do with.
But I have to tell you, Danny has played a fair bit of diplomacy.
Danny's got game.
You know, he's not George yet.
The only problem was,
give him time.
There's something really interesting. Paul is, of course, selling this hard, the move to the Med, and Adam jumps in, like, unprompted, and starts saying what a crazy, ridiculous, bad move it is for France to do that against Italy, because it causes Italy to reorient, which I completely agree with, but it was this hilariously, like, pro-Italian, like, Adam couldn't help himself but to try to teach the kid the proper thing, even though it actually worked against him. I do this at the poker table. I will try to teach people who I'm losing money to.
I feel like you really shouldn't have pushed with the ace king. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so, but the kid did it anyway. I mean, maybe it was like meta Uber game. Maybe they had it all planned, and there was nothing I could do to prevent it anyway. So probably not. But so I'm on the ropes. But as I told the kid, like, he can dot me for Tunis, but then you're done, right? Like he couldn't close the deal, and
stop listening after dotting for Tunis.
Yeah.
So he did take Tunis from you.
Yeah.
All right.
Dots me for Tunis. I'm down to like 3. And the Easterners are rolling. The TA is taking down Russia fast, and you're taking bites out of them too at that point, right? The Russians.
At that point, Sweden and Norway were mine.
Okay.
I forced CP.
Yep.
So Russia's pretty much gone, and Adam's good enough to know it, and so he didn't exactly throw a hissy fit. But he was
kind of disengaged,
upset, disengaged, and did not care who knew it. I would say is an accurate. Is that fair?
Publicly so.
Yeah.
All right.
And may in fact have disapproved.
Just less fun.
Oh wow.
He may have disapproved of the gunboat nature of a few of the turns.
As I said in his profile, Adam's an emotional player.
Yeah.
Yeah. He plays with a lot of heart, and that does serve him really well a lot of the time. But when it goes sideways, you know. Maybe sometimes not so much. All right, so end of the game here. As you were starting to wind things down, what happened?
This guy surges into first.
By stabbing Danny?
I stabbed Danny mid-game.
Okay.
With the idea that he's going to... people were throwing out the term solo threat a lot. I never saw it, but what I did see was a very strong board top.
Okay.
And that I could poach Danny's centers as he went through. He takes one of Italy's, I take one of his.
Okay.
So I forget which turn it was. I stabbed him for 2. I grabbed Portugal and Brest.
Yeah.
Oh, so you were like seriously in his theater and he wasn't
Yeah.
reacting? Okay. What was how did you pitch him on that?
Excuse me?
How did you pitch him on letting you move to the Mid-Atlantic Ocean?
I pitched him on the fact that I had a rough first day, and the Mid-Atlantic Ocean was a little bit
It was a
less
sympathy
redness
fuck?
than the Western Triple.
Shut up now.
Almost. This
Come
was
on
kind
now.
there was a strong AT at the time. This is before things went
This is
south.
reacting to that, right?
Okay.
But me in the Mid-Atlantic.
You were saying, hey, I'll come to North Africa. I can help
Yeah,
with
propping
that
up Danny's fleets.
Okay. All right.
Conveniently enough, it's next to Wide Open Portugal.
Sure.
My fleet in the English Channel helped things along a little bit.
Do you think that Danny needs to learn that having your English ally in the English Channel, the Mid-Atlantic Ocean, should be a warning sign?
Well, the English Channel, that was...
Printed on a bumper sticker.
I was in the English Channel 2 times this game.
Okay.
The first time was a planned, unplanned, forced retreat when Jim forced me out of Belgium.
Okay.
45.
Oh no, I must retreat to the English Channel. Don't throw me in that briar patch.
I got a convoy into Picardy. That fleet ended up in the Mid-Atlantic, but I followed up with a build in London, which went to the Channel, still under the pretense of supporting him.
37.
So that's something you would say that that's something that he needs to say. Oh, I need to disengage from the Med and come back, or what?
Hard to say
Adam
that
was
he
Adam
didn't
was in
realize.
fact announcing this the entire time.
Ah.
Like, Danny, what do you suppose those English units are doing?
But Danny realized this without his help. I'll give the kid credit.
Right.
He was fully aware of the vulnerable position he was in.
6.
But I like to think we did a good enough job convincing him of the Turkish threat.
Okay.
And just
Yeah.
gobble the centers too, so we let
Yeah.
him kind of develop the position. and
They
then-
use Sundstrom's rep all game. At this point, I don't think Sundstrom ever got beyond 6 SCs, and there was constant talk of Sundstrom soloing to like counterbalance whatever
All right.
Westerners were doing.
So it's really about experience playing the game and being able to make that assessment on his own about what the real threat
I
is.
think he played within the scoring system to a certain extent. After I took 2, he had a choice, because I think at that point he was in Tunis, Western Med, and Tyrrhenian maybe.
I think that's right.
He
Oh, wow.
kept those units. He disbanded one of his armies back in his home centers, and he disbanded. I think he disbanded 2 of his armies. He kept his fleet.
So he said, hey, look, I'm going to be useful to you here going forward.
Exactly.
You know what?
I'm going to keep my center count. But
Okay.
I realized that England's going to roll me up.
Okay.
He did survive to 1 center, though, and I think that's a bit of a result of Austria and Turkey kind of bungling their attacks on each other for a few turns.
Okay.
France turned out to be a fairly key part of holding the Ionian.
Yes.
Well, and also it's a tribute to you recognizing the value of their fleet too.
Yeah.
I was tempted.
Yeah.
I hate 1 center survives, as you can attest to from our game yesterday. But I couldn't convince myself that taking Portugal would not make Italy come after me.
Okay.
It absolutely
Talking
would've.
after the game, you
Yeah.
totally would have.
But it breaks my line and pisses me off. Pissing me off is probably not enough to get me to like throw caution to the wind and just come after you. But if my line's broken anyway and it's your fault, yeah, I'm gonna like die trying to claw you to death for sure.
Turkey had 3 fleets on the Ionian.
Yeah,
France was in the Ionian. You only had 2 in support.
Correct.
So
So
there
it's-
was
it's-
value in his fleet.
it's 3 Turkish fleets on my 2, and Matt's good enough that he walks through me if
Okay.
that happens. And that was for like 6 turns.
So my question for you, Tom, I guess, in this position is why take the draw? Why not push for a couple more dots? Why not stab Jim?
This is a point of contention for, I think, the 4 failed draw votes we had.
Okay.
And Turkey kept screaming, they're still playing the board. They're still playing the board.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
At this point,
There
he's
isn't.
not wrong.
The whole
He is wrong.
orders are gone thing, as
I think it's open to interpretation. But from my view, if I had attacked Jim,
Yep.
I probably could have gotten Paris. I could have gotten Denmark, maybe Belgium. Not much else.
I would
You
have.
take all those, how do you not take Berlin and Kiel.
At that point, Italy's big enough where he can move, and he didn't have his units here. He can move up and support.
I exploded in the last game here.
Ah, okay.
I was at 4 or 5 for years, and just at the end, as I suspected would happen, eventually Matt pissed off Paul, and Paul committed suicide against Turkey.
And you were able to
allowing me
walk in.
explode.
Okay.
And my explosion right here is what makes him unable. Like, if this game goes on, I kill Turkey fairly rapidly, but I don't think I can catch him. So all that happens is he and I race to the board top. He winds up with like 15. I wind up with like 13. But it's a solo threat. Jim's the TD. He's unable to pay that much attention to the game. Maybe he gets pissed off. Maybe he throws the solo to him.
And to give Jim credit, he did a good job of destabilizing me enough where I couldn't position myself for.
I say, Jim, this is sort of a classic you kind of move, just to not let somebody get enough of a step, right?
Yeah, you can top the board.
Force myself.
So I had convoyed out Yorkshire, and then convoyed out.
Oh, wow.
Prior to that, I had moved into Sweden by accident, honestly. But then I backed out in the fall, so.
And I didn't mean to discount you. I totally share your concerns. An 11 SC England with no threats, able to like position himself. Plus, with Portugal, his for the grabbing.
You don't own Portugal? I thought you said that's what you stabbed Danny for.
No, that's the
what
one
I was tempted to dance.
That's the one he left Danny with. But it's available for the grab.
Okay.
So any turn that he manages to figure out a way to dot Jim for like 1 or 2, he also gets Portugal.
Okay.
Then he's at 13 with
So
momentum.
what
and
I
solos
missed
within
is that
reach.
that is a honest French fleet in the Eastern Med supported by Portugal. All right, I'm going to give some more credit to Danny for that. That's you know, what the heck? That's a fun game. All right, guys.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was.
All right.
Well-deserved board
Well,
toss.
good job and good luck tonight and tomorrow.
Thank you.